So Double 11 released the first LMG skin, and as well, I don't know about the pistol or the prototype 17 because I've seen skins here and there on PC, but I don't know if they're official or not, so let me know if that was the first one for the prototype. But as for the LMG, how are you guys finding it? Do you like it or do you dislike it? As well, I was fortunate enough to get some responses in some questions that I asked Pedro the other day. If you do like seeing these videos where I ask Pedro, who is the community manager for Double 11 over on Rust Console, then be sure to leave some support on the video. It really helps out a lot, and it's good to see that Pedro takes notice of the feedback you guys give within the comments in receiving the information that I give you provided by Pedro. So one of the things that I forgot to mention within the other video, I did talk about 3.5 km maps. And this was the thing I was going to talk about. 3.5 km maps have hit Rust Console, and yes, the maps look a lot bigger, but we're still stuck on 100 pops. And to my knowledge, we've been on 100 pops since the test of time of this game. Like, since it came out, it's been 100 pop. We've gone through 2.5 km, 3 km, and now we're on 3.5. So rightfully so, people are kind of wondering, well, when, are we going to get more pops, because we're getting bigger maps? But that's also now becoming a bit of a stretch for some players and teams, because they're now having to roam quite a lot of grids to get to where they want to get to when it comes to PvP. Although launch site is kind of the birthplace for PvP on this game, people are still kind of finding it hard to find other players to fight and get loot from. So I asked the question, hi Pedro, I hope you're well, good stuff on the new skins which PC haven't received yet. A question people have is that with the 3 km maps, could we expect bigger pops such as 125 anytime soon, or will this come when we eventually hit 4 km maps? God forbid, if we get 4 km maps when we're still at 100 pop, I generally don't see the point in a 4 km map. Pedro replied saying, as for 125 pops, we have no plan to extend at the moment. When we tested it, performance was impacted. We might try again in the future though. So I'm not too sure as to the extent of how bad the performance was impacted because of the 125 pop. What I'm keen to kind of get some information on is what type of performance, did it impact? How did it impact the game? Did it make it more laggy? Did more bugs, arise in the game? Because 125 pop, I think, suits 3 km maps really well. And as well, for dying servers, it just provides, I guess, more players within those servers that may be dying, or not on peak time. You just gain more players naturally when the pop is low. I guess people just thinking 100 pops is kind of stale now, especially for such queues as, let's say, CNQR Warfare, for example, I've been getting. We had over 100 player queue. 100 player queue for one of the days that CNQR Warfare was live for. So to have 125 pop kind of eases the the wait to get into a server that people are so desperately to play on. So going by your comments on my videos and the feedback I received via the game, there's 3 main pointers that I wanted to address to Pedro to gain a solid concrete answer, whether it stops people talking about the topic or it furthers the conversation. Number 1 was, will we see any Double 11 produced monuments or weapons, something that is unique to Rust Console and not on PC? Again, I made a video on this, but I don't think I ever released it. It was to do with that we're not as hyped for monuments because we've already seen our favorite content creators play them. We've seen countless videos talking about the tutorials on it and how to run it. When you get there, of course you get a bit of a boost of hype because it's the first time you're playing the monument or playing with the weapon. But that effect kind of wears off a lot quicker than if it was brand new and never seen before. Because I do think D11 should produce their own monuments or weapons to make it unique. Of course, keep the core elements of what Rust is about and, making and tailoring it towards PC. For God's sake, do not add the fucking metal detectors, whatever you do. If there's one thing I could, use my quote-unquote power or influence on, it'd be to not add that shit. We do not need it. Pedro replied saying, not for now, but maybe in the future. I love the idea of having new monuments or features tailored for console players. As I basically said, backing up my points, it would just make the game more unique. And for console players, they had their own thing to sort of brag about and to play for the very first time. My second question was, monitor based FPS. If a monitor has 120 FPS, then the game will run it on that. Now, my question was kind of flawed. When saying 120 FPS, I meant hertz. I did send this message at 1:30 in the morning, so I was kind of tired. Pedro corrected me saying, do you mean monitor hertz? Because the frames per second will always depend on the game's performance. but the hertz are tied to the monitor itself. In our case, the game is made for console, so I assume it runs on 60 Hz or 120 because that's the average. If you have a monitor with 144 Hz and you play on it, I think the game and the console still cap it at 60 to 120. Unsure on this one. I mean, just playing through and seeing people's feedback on the quality for this game in terms of like hertz running on a monitor, I do think it's capped at 120 because this comment, or this question I should say, was based off a question I saw in the comment section. If I can find it, I'll put it up for you, but yeah, I basically got it from someone in the comment section that was saying, you know, is the game capped or can we play it on the hertz that is tailored on our monitor? So I'm pretty sure from, you know, Pedro's answer, of course he's unsure, so it's not confirmed, but in my opinion I'd probably say it's capped. Could be wrong though. Number 3, and I know a lot of you, whether you're mouse and keyboard players or you want to play mouse and keyboard because so many people are playing on it and you want to, you know, transition to it, I asked this question. I don't expect a direct answer to this, but as people are thinking nothing will come of Zim and Zen device ban, will the game ever see mouse and keyboard compatibility servers or compatible servers, and what's the 11th stance for mouse and keyboard being played on Rust Console, e.g. is it cheating? Pedro said our version is not made for mouse and keyboard and it does break the terms of service, which basically means it's cheating. Like I said before, we are working on our detection system, but it takes time. Games like COD and R6 now have it, but they released it way before we did, which means they had a lot more time to try and find a solution. Nothing is out there on how this system works, so we have to create a brand new one, and that takes time. So what a lot of people kind of misconstruing about this is that R6 are feeding other games their, you know, anti-cheat. Sure, it works for R6, but that doesn't guarantee it's going to work for every other game. Of course, they could share the data about it, or whether they charge to share the data about it. In this case, it doesn't seem as if they have, especially with Double 11, whether they've reached out to them, or just generally, that's not how games kind of talk to fellow game developers and, you know, allow people to have their anti-cheat. But mouse and keyboard is said by Pedro, it's cheating. And then, you know, as I've said before, or I've covered as well with what Pedro said, they're working on an anti-cheat at the moment. There's no, you know, confirmed date of when this is going to come out, but apparently it is being worked on. But it doesn't look as if there's any data that has been shared from the R6 or COD anti-cheat, as Pedro also stated that they're starting from scratch. So what do you guys think of these questions that I asked, and what are ones that you think should be asked in the future? Again, I'm not going to be asking these sort of questions every single day because that would probably get a lot more tedious for Pedro to keep on answering these questions. However, ones that are important or ones that I think stand out that do need to be asked and have an answer to, such as the excellent trees, which I've asked Pedro but haven't got no reply at this moment in time, I will put into a video for you guys to feedback the information. And one thing I want to add as this video is coming to a close is the inspecting your weapon. So you can see the skins, show off the skins with on your TikTok, YouTube, or whatever you want to do with it. The inspect animation is already in game, or has already been in game. The person of Rust Console skin that showed me these new skins that I supplied a couple days or a day before it actually came out, such as the LMG and prototype, also was able to change their FOV and look at the inspect weapon animation. I'll post some gameplay from their TikTok. It is Rust Console skin. Doesn't look too bad, however, I guess still needs a lot of work, but it is cool to see that it's already in the game, so I'm not too sure why it hasn't been, you know, just dropped already. I guess there needs to be some, you know, fine tuning and for it to be refined. However, it's cool to see that, as I said, it's in the game. That's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and join up the Discord that is in the description. We now have made it to level 3 once again, so we have a custom invite link, which is discord.gg/CNQR RCE. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.